So I do think, like, for me, it's just about being prepared, because the more you're prepared, the better off it is in the long run, right? It saves you money, it saves you trauma. You don't want to deal with planning things like that when you're dealing with trauma. You're going through trauma when you lose somebody that you love.
I agree.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's a lot to say that to a loved one, that you have to prepare to bury a loved one. I say that.
Great. Like I said, having conversations as a healthy adult, is sad as it is. You know, she's fought breast. I've been through stuff where I know that might come, right? So having those conversations when you're healthier might be easier. I don't know.
Family needs to talk about this stuff. Stop playing. Stop playing. Death is going to come to all of us. Stop playing and do what you need to do.
My dad had pancreatic cancer, which unfortunately is one of those cancers that typically across the board, race, ethnicity, gender, sex, age, it's a very low percentage of survival, right? So thank God he lived over like a year with it, which was a long time. But that was something that, think about if we had got that straight before he got that sick, right? If that had been done prior to his diagnosis, that would have been more straight throughout all of the treatment and all of this, right? But sometimes it's hard when you love somebody because you think you know better and you think you know what they need, and that's not always true.
Now, my father died without wishes. They did CPR on him and broke one of his ribs. So when he woke up, he instantly signed a DNR. But his was rough, but he didn't say anything about his wishes beforehand to my mother. So it was CPR, do what you gotta do to save him. But he was so frail, and it made it hard. So they broke a couple of ribs, and he never wanted to do that again. Mm-hmm. He didn't discuss his wishes. Personally, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that literally is the exact opposite, if I can be honest. Because, and I think that's where this conversation gets tricky, because you have to meet people where they are, especially we're dealing with church folk.
To me, knowing that person is going to a better place, not suffering anymore, don't have to deal with the confusion, the pain on earth, and I just think that's the second part of it.
I could be wrong. I don't know. I just don't think your spirit's at rest if your spirit can know that somebody that they love is struggling. I don't think my spirit would rest knowing that my kids are trying to figure this out, or my mom's trying to figure this out. And again, I could be wrong, but that's how I feel on earth. And if on earth, this is just the outside of me and my spirit, if I feel like my spirit would still feel that way, right? If we're saying our spirits don't die.
We have this shell of the person there, but the person's gone to heaven. They're celebrating. We have to look at that and realize that they're in a better place. They're not being stuck anymore. Mm-hmm. And it takes a lot of faith to hold it together.
When you see people go through certain things like that, you want them to be free, right? It's like, as much as I selfishly want you to be on earth with me, I don't want to do that. And you're hurting, right? But everybody doesn't have that experience, right? Like, it's scary, I think, ending. Like you said, we don't believe life ends. But I think that that's where we have to make the distinction. Physical life does end. Physical life does end.
I had to do the grave site, pick this, do this, the insurance. It's a lot. And they couldn't make it to the meeting with the hospice. So me and my mom went on and did our thing. She said, I'll trust you, whatever you decide. That's what made it easier. And when family said anything, it's done. Done. Don't complain because you weren't there. Don't complain about anything. But it's a lot of work, and family needs to talk.
And I think that you mentioned grieving, which is important, because I think we don't talk about grief. I think grief is same thing with death, like it has a lot of negative connotations, but grief is normal. So grieving, I think we have to destigmatize or change how we look at that. And again, grief is it's different to everybody. It could be short, it could be long. It doesn't really end, I don't think, especially when you lose certain people you love, right? But I think that should be a time, if you are allowing, somebody's transitioning and you're trying to send them off, that should be a time to sit and be able to just sit in that, I think.
Yeah. sit there and grieve. I didn't have that grief process until after she was buried, because I had to make sure her wishes were taken out. But that was done a couple of months before she passed with hospice. But you gotta grieve. You gotta grieve too. It was worse than with my mom. My mom told me what she wanted. We did it. We got her in hospice. And like I said, she died peacefully because it wasn't all the confusion.